Hello, my name is Tracy Allen and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Hello everyone, and I'm so glad you could join us here at Cooking with Some Friends. I am going to make a recipe for some cookies to have on hand, but this is a special recipe. It's one of them in honor of the state of Alaska. They're called Wilderness Lodge cookies, and they were actually created by the owners of Wilderness Place Lodge in Alaska. It's actually in Lake Creek, Alaska. So anyway, we're going to share that recipe with you right now. So in my bowl I have, and I'm cutting my recipe in half. So in my bowl I have 1 cup of room temperature butter, and I'm going to cream it with 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of brown sugar. So I'm going to cream those together till they're pretty light and fluffy, and that may take a couple of minutes. Okay, now that my butter and my 2 sugars are well combined, I'm going to add 2 room temperature eggs, and I'm going to add those in while I'm beating one at a time. Next comes my vanilla, and I want to add a teaspoon of vanilla. This is one I like to add just a little bit more usually. It just brings out a richer flavor. Don't go too overboard, but maybe a teaspoon and a quarter, teaspoon and a half. Set that aside for a minute, and then I'm going to handle my dry ingredients. In my bowl I have my flour, and I have 1.5 cups of flour. I want to fluff that up a little bit just to kind of give it some volume when it goes into my cookies. And I'm going to add my leavening agent. I have a teaspoon of baking soda. I'm going to mix that in. And then I'm gradually going to add this to my creamed mixture. That's all added. Now I'm going to add my oats, and these are quick cooking oats. Make sure you don't get old-fashioned oats. They won't cook up the same, so make sure you have quick cooking oats or minute oats. And I have 3 cups of those. Add those. And then I have my chocolate chips, and I'm adding about 1.25 cups of chocolate chips. And then I want to add 1/2 cup of coconut. Get my package open. And 1/2 cup of raisins. Those of you that like oatmeal chocolate chips, this is a good cookie for you. If you like oatmeal raisin, it's also another good option because it combines the best of both. And the only other thing I need to add is I toasted some pecans, and you can use walnuts if you would rather use those. But I toasted about a cup of those, and then I chopped those up, and they're also going to go in our cookie. Okay, a little bit of cookie dough on me. And I have my baking sheet ready, covered with parchment, and we're going to preheat our oven to 350. And then we're going to bake these for 8 to 10 minutes until they're no longer gooey inside and the edges are golden brown. Hello and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. I'm going to share a recipe with you today for cinnamon roll cheesecake bars, and we're going to start with the crust. And for that, I have 1.5 cups of graham cracker crumbs, and to that I'm going to add 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and I need to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then 6 tablespoons of melted butter. So I'm going to mix this together, and then I'm going to press it into my 8x8 casserole dish and put it in a preheated 350-degree oven and let that cook. So I have my graham cracker crumbs, my brown sugar, my salt, and my melted butter in my bowl, and I'm going to mix that, and this will be our crust that I'm going to press into my 8x8. And then we're going to bake this at 350 for about 8 minutes. At that point, we need to let it cool before we add the filling. Okay, our crust for our cinnamon roll cheesecake bars has pretty much cooled. Our oven we dropped from 350 to 325. Now I'm going to take 16 ounces of softened cream cheese, along with 3/4 cup of sugar and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And I'm going to beat those or cream those together. Okay, to this I want to add 1/2 cup of sour cream that's at room temperature, and 2 room temperature eggs, and I'm going to add those one at a time. I want to scrape down the edges of my bowl, but I'm going to set this aside while I make the swirl that I'm going to use with this. Okay. So in my bowl, I have 1 cup of dark brown sugar. And to that, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of flour and a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then I'm going to remelt this, 6 tablespoons of melted butter. Okay, I've got our swirl made, so I'm going to take half of our cheesecake filling and put that over our cooled crust. Gently spread that out. And I want to take half of our swirl and dollop that on. I'm going to take a knife and just gently swirl this in a little bit. I don't want to go too far into the crust. And then I'm going to repeat that process. When I'm all done, I'm going to put this in our 325-degree oven and let it bake for 35 to 40 minutes. And at that point, I need to let it cool to room temperature and then refrigerate it for at least 2 hours before we serve it. Should be good with pecans in it as well. Rest of it. Just swirl that down in. Make sure I get some towards the edges. Okay. In the oven for 35 to 40 minutes. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.